Hello and welcome to the Minimum Competence episode for Thursday, November 13th, 2025. I'm your host for today, Andrew Leahy, a tax and technology attorney from New Jersey. On today's episode, Trump named in new Epstein emails, Apple says EU fee cuts didn't lower prices, and Google sues to stop a massive international phishing scam. Let's remember, rice is great if you're hungry and want to eat 2,000 of something. And read today's legal news. On this day in legal history, November 13th, 1856, Louis Brandeis was born in Louisville, Kentucky. He would go on to become one of the most influential jurists in American legal history. Appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1916 by President Woodrow Wilson, Brandeis was the first Jewish justice and brought a deeply progressive and pragmatic philosophy to the bench. Long before his judicial career, he co-authored the seminal 1890 Harvard Law Review article, The Right to Privacy, articulating a legal theory that would shape decades of constitutional interpretation. On the court, he consistently championed civil liberties, individual privacy, and limitations on unchecked government and corporate power. Brandeis was known for his meticulous reasoning and willingness to dissent, often laying the groundwork for future majority opinions. In Whitney v. California in 1927, his concurring opinion defended free speech in sweeping terms, arguing that the remedy for harmful ideas was more speech, not enforced silence, a principle that remained central to First Amendment jurisprudence. In economic cases, he frequently opposed monopolistic practices and was skeptical of concentrated financial power, earning him the moniker the People's Lawyer. His distrust of large institutions was not ideological, but rooted in a belief that democracy and individual autonomy could only flourish when those institutions were held accountable. Brandeis also advanced the use of social science and empirical data in legal arguments, exemplified by the famous Brandeis brief in Mueller v. Oregon, which emphasized real-world facts over abstract legal theory. He believed that courts should understand the broader implications of their rulings, particularly in cases affecting labor, privacy, and civil rights. Though his views were sometimes out of step with his contemporaries, many of his ideas became mainstream in later decades. Brandeis served on the court until 1939, leaving a legacy of principled independence and intellectual rigor. House Democrats have released emails suggesting that Donald Trump may have been aware of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of underage girls. The documents include a 2019 email in which Epstein told author Michael Wolff that Trump, quote, knew about the girls and asked Ghislaine Maxwell to stop, as well as a 2011 message from Epstein to Maxwell claiming Trump spent significant time at his house with one of Epstein's victims. The victim's name is redacted, but the White House says it refers to the late Virginia Jeffrey, who has publicly stated that Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing. Trump has consistently denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes, emphasizing that their friendship ended years before Epstein's death in jail in 2019. The White House dismissed the email release as a politically motivated stunt and accused Democrats of constructing a, quote, fake narrative. Still, the controversy has stirred unease among Trump's base, with recent polling showing only 40% of Republicans support his handling of the Epstein case, far less than his usual approval ratings among that group. Wednesday's release coincides with the swearing-in of Democratic Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva, whose vote could trigger a full House vote to declassify all Epstein-related records. Democrats, led by Representative Robert Garcia, are pushing for full transparency, alleging that attempts to conceal the files raise deeper concerns about Trump's connection to Epstein. Apple says recent fee cuts for app developers in the EU, made to comply with the Digital Markets Act, or DMA, have not led to lower prices for consumers. The company commissioned a study showing that developers kept prices the same or raised them for 90% of products, with only 9% seeing reductions, and those were consistent with typical pricing trends, not fee changes. Most of the financial benefit from reduced commissions, totaling 20.1 million euros, went to non-EU developers. Apple argues this undermines the DMA's goal of helping consumers and fostering competition, instead creating new hurdles for startups and potential risks for users. The European Commission has not yet commented. The DMA targets tech giants like Apple, Google, Meta, and Microsoft, aiming to level the playing field and offer users more choice. Google has filed a federal lawsuit in New York aiming to dismantle an international phishing operation it claims originated in China. According to the complaint, the group used software called Lighthouse to impersonate entities like Google, the U.S. Postal Service, and EasyPass, sending fake text messages to trick users into revealing sensitive personal and financial information. Nearly 200,000 fraudulent websites were allegedly created in just 20 days, targeting over 1 million people across more than 120 countries. Google accuses the 25 unnamed defendants of trademark infringement, false advertising, and racketeering, and is seeking financial damages as well as legal orders to shut the scheme down in the U.S. The company estimates the group may have stolen between 12.7 million and 115 million U.S. credit card numbers. Google's general counsel also backed proposed federal legislation to strengthen protections against similar scams. And with that, and as always, I thank you so much for listening to Minimum Competence, your daily news podcast for lawyers. If you're looking for more than Minimum Competence, links to further reading on all the topics touched on today are in the show notes. And reviews go a long way towards helping new listeners to find our show. If you have a moment and leave a rating or review on your podcast player, we'd appreciate it. And if you know someone that might be interested in a story we cover, consider sending them the episode. But remember, nothing here should be construed as legal advice because it is certainly never that. Minimum Competence is available at minimumcomp.com and wherever it is you get your finely crafted podcasts. If you haven't checked out the website in a while, give it a look. There are complete transcripts and resources for each episode and its corresponding segments, as well as an opportunity to receive new episodes in email, newsletter, form. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, remember, I haven't slept for 10 days because that would be too long.